Welcome to week 66, count it, week 66 of Shark Sports Radio. It's yours truly, Mark Loisel Jr., aka Shark, right here in the Ocean State. Alongside of me is not Giffy, but we have a special guest. Thank you all for taking a dive into the tank with us tonight. As always, you can tune in using your Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, and or Spotify app. Please check us out on Twitter at SSR34_ and at the Shark Sports Radio Facebook page. What's on tap tonight? Well, again, we have a surprise as former NBA player Dean Tolson is joining us for our new segment called Page Turners, where we bring on athletes and sports authors that have released books in recent months to have them come on, talk about their book, message writing in their story, and then their impact on the sports world. His book, Power Forward, released this past October, is a phenomenal read, incredibly inspirational, and can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookstore outlets. Dean, thank you for joining us tonight. How are you?
Thank you, Mark, for having me on Shark Sports Talk Radio, and all your listeners and audiences out there in Rhode Island. Right on for Rhode Island, and let's get this most important message to the people and the children of the community of the state of Rhode Island and the city you're in there.
Oh, absolutely. And as mentioned in your book, before you reached out to me, actually, you're looking to raise awareness, right? And about the challenges students are facing regarding literacy. And I think it's very inspirational. Do you mind talking about why that's so important to you in your story?
Well, Mark, when I was coming up as a kid, my mom had a 8th grade education and my dad had a 3rd grade education. So quite naturally, I went to school and goofed off all day. Recess, right?
Yep.
And so I flunked the 5th grade twice. And they were going to flunk me again the third time.
No, they kick you out the third time, right?
my mom came up to the school and said, look, just pass him on anyway. I don't care if he's passing, failing, or whatever. Just send him on to the next grade. Because he's the biggest kid in the class.
Yep.
So this started the trend, Mark.
I love it. At the end of the day, it's always good to, especially for the young listeners, to listen in and start reading. And it's very, very important in life, as you know. And, as always, I find it fascinating with the start of your book. Let's talk about how your aunt was boyfriends with Wilt Chamberlain for a period of time. Looking back on that now, I mean, how cool was it, to have the Big Dipper around and knowing that, he went on to score 100 points in the game.
Well, I was just 5 years old, turning 6 years old, and I never seen a figure with a person with a statue like that.
Right.
It was awesome, And so, of course, to say the least, I was impressed, but I was actually blown away that this guy came to my house.
Absolutely.
And then later, 13 years later, I personally would be playing for Bill Russell in Seattle Supersonics.
Which I absolutely love. And that is a great segue. I'm a Celtics fan, so I definitely appreciate that. And when you think of a pioneer, not only on the court, but off the court, Bill Russell is that guy. He was with the Seattle Supersonics. He drafted you. He coached you. And obviously we lost Mr. Russell in the recent past year. Can you share us a story about Bill, that has impacted your life and career off the court?
Well, let's put it like this. He drafted me to the NBA. That's number one. From Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yes.
And when he drafted me, I had this ideal in my mind, this beautiful NBA dream that I was going to be a superstar and be a Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. And I was putting up the numbers like that to do it.
Absolutely. You were a stud at the time, right?
I averaged 30 points a game, 20 rebounds a game. I'm thinking I'm going to be the man.
Talk that talk, Dean. Talk that talk. Right?
When I got there, that I would be benched for the next 3 years after playing every minute in high school and every minute in college. And when I got in the NBA, I was benched every minute in the NBA.
No, I understand, and I can only imagine what that timeline was like. But I
Yes.
talking about Bill from a coaching perspective, though, like do you have any stories like inside the locker room or anything that you're willing to share in regards to your time with Bill?
Well, he was a brilliant man in his era, but once he took the head job with the Seattle Supersonics, the NBA was changing and was going into transition basketball, and he kept doing the old Boston Celtic playbook: slow down, set it up, get it inside to the big man.
And
And
you
when
just want to run, and shoot. That's all you wanted to do: run and shoot, score points, right?
what was going on there? He took the job. The transition basketball was what was happening at that time.
Right.
And they were already doing it in the ABA.
Yes. And Dr. J was leading the
Yeah.
charge in
And
that.
in fact, I was drafted with Dr. J that year as well.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
I was
That's a
drafted
fun fact.
with the NBA.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. But from a civil rights movement, if you're talking about like Bill Russell, he was the pioneer to that. He was the guy that led that charge in basketball.
Well, yeah, but Will Chamberlain averaged 50 points a game.
He did. He
I mean,
did.
these two guys revolutionized the game, okay?
Yes, they did. Absolutely. I agree. I think Will was just as impressive as Bill.
So I just told you I averaged 30 points and 20 rebounds. And the average 20 rebounds, some nights you got to get 30 rebounds to average 20.
Right.
So I'm doing that myself,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Keep
put
my
up big numbers, Dean.
absolutely. And so I got this mentality from those guys.
I love
But
that.
I'm only 6'8". These guys are 7'4". 6'11", 6'10", and 11. I'm 6'8", doing it
Right. Yeah.
because I grew up watching them.
No, and they're like idols to you and they're inspiring to watch, right? And
Right.
like I grew up in 1991, so I wasn't able to see those guys play, but I can only imagine the caliber of those
So
guys at that time.
Lindemann will play. I
Yeah.
saw them in the 60s.
See, that's incredible. Yeah, growing up and watching them, and then you translate into the NBA and do what you do. I mean,
Yeah.
that's an outstanding story. So I want to get into. I know you went to the University of Arkansas, right? And obviously you didn't have the luxury of getting compensated, for your collegiate performance in college. So now the NIL is present, and do you see it as a negative or positive impact in the college athletics world?
Uh, Based on my experience and what I went through personally, I see a double-edged sword attached to that. It's just like you give a 16-year-old kid a car, and it's a Corvette. He gonna wreck it.
He's gonna wreck it. Yep. Yep.
He gonna get on. He gonna get on that gas so hard, and he's feel that power, and he's shifting gears.
You
He
better
gonna
get that good insurance, right? Got to
lose
get that good insurance.
control of it and hit that telephone pole.
Yeah, I know.
Now, on the other hand, let's take the flip side of it. If he paid for the car, he ain't gonna wreck it.
He ain't gonna wreck it. No,
No.
no.
That
Lamborghini, Bentley,
car's 120.
Maserati. Yeah,
If he had to pay for it, he gonna take care of that car.
he will. Yep.
That's how the NIL should work, just like
I love that idea. And there should be a cap to it too. I mean, if you're talking like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million,
that.
you're talking.
Hey, whatever that car costs, he also got to cover it with paying his own insurance.
Yep.
So he gonna take care of that car.
And he's got to get a financial advisor too, so they can, keep his.
NIL is being a brand new Corvette.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I agree with you. There is a double-edged sword with it. There's a positive impact, and obviously the negative impact. For example, like let's say a non-star player gets paid a certain amount of money, but then doesn't go into the NBA, he's still getting compensated for his performance, right? So
But Mark, they cannot set it up as one shoe fits all.
correct. There's got to be tiers. There's got to be levels to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
Yes.
like an NBA contract. Every NBA contract is different and a different amount of money. And it's just like me. I'm the lowest paid NBA player in the history of the NBA.
Yeah. But you know what, Dean? You made it to the NBA.
Yeah, I made it. But
You made it.
with the talent I had, that wasn't right.
I know.
That's what I live with in my dreams every night.
Yeah. And talking about the NBA, I always appreciate when someone of your caliber, is playing in the NBA and, taking on so much adversity as a child. You walked you through, chapter 1, chapter 2, and then, as you get into the further in, you can kind of see the development of how strong you were as a person, as an individual. It was all in your mind. And I appreciated your mindset. And because there was determination to seek out more in life, right? And go ahead.
The University of Arkansas put out a lot of NBA players. And 52 years later, Dean Tolson is still the first leading rebounder in the history of the school and second leading scorer.
It's incredible. That's something to absolutely put in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. And I'll never get credit for it.
Do you think it's because the writers? It's because
it's because I was illiterate and I was taken advantage of, and I didn't get credit for what I did.
Yeah,
it was
I agree.
And this is what prompted me to write the book, to tell these kids, get your education early in life. Don't wait until like I did.
Yeah.
And then into this tragedy 30-something years later. I started to learn to read and write when I was 32 years old. That's when I started to learn to read and write.
Yeah, but that's a challenge and adversity that you fought through, right? I always look at it from a positive standpoint. I agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. Education, literacy, that's important. I don't know if a lot of people, a lot of the listeners know, but when I was a freshman and sophomore in high school, I was also illiterate. So it's just at the end of the day, you have to, take it, day by day and figure out what challenge you can break through. And you broke through a ton of challenges, and that's why I find your story very inspiring. And so why did you want to take that step, going to get your master's, at that point in time?
Because my message was falling on deaf ears. When I graduated with my undergraduate, Sports Illustrated came down to the campus of the University of Arkansas and did a 7-day tour on campus covering my story. And when the story came out, I was in Sports Illustrated with 5 pages about the graduation story. My mom is putting the cap and gown on my head, and I'm going around trying to get people to jump on the bandwagon with my experience and what I have to offer in a way to promote and challenge kids to get their education in life, and no one was listening to me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to prove to them that this was no fluke.
This is real.
Masters.
This is real.
I'm not only going to go get my master's, I'm going to graduate magna cum laude in my master's program.
The highest level of a master's program.
Of the class of the University of Arkansas in education.
Just an incredible story, Dean. It really is. I love your book, and to be honest with you, I started this new segment called Page Turners because I'm inspired by the way you reached out to me. Obviously, try to most certainly come on to the podcast. I appreciate that wholeheartedly. But you are now the pioneer to Page Turners, the new segment that we just released. So we have a bunch of other writers lined up, obviously, but your story is one of a kind. And so as far I do have some fun NBA questions for you, because I just like to know from an NBA standpoint this year, who do you think has the best chance of winning the 2024 NBA championship?